Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. We're doing a buyer's guide today on Mercedes shape known as the W164. So this one's no normal one, it's an ML420. You get the 420 and the 450 as well, same engine. This one's a pre-facelift. So I'm just going to take you through what to look for if you're going to buy one of these. So let's start off on the engine. Yeah, these are known to have an oil leak at the back. So you won't be able to see it like this. You've got to run the car, move it back, see if there's any oil left on the floor, and that will tell you straight away that there is some sort of oil leak, and then ideally you want to get it up on a ramp. But the reason it's a big problem on these cars is it's between the gearbox and the engine. It's the engine oil seal at the back. It's very, very common. With the age, look, this one's 2008, it's done 150,000 miles. They start to get brittle with age. It's not something that you can put additive in and store it because it's not one of those seals. Although if it's a minor leak elsewhere in the engine, those kind of products do work. But for something like the main oil seal, depends how bad it is, it's probably not going to work. Yeah. You obviously want to do your usual checks. You want to open the cap here. Make sure there isn't anything, you know, mayonnaise, water sort of mixing, mayonnaise looking sort of substance here, because that will tell you straight away that the head gasket is on its way out. And of course you want to open the water bottle. I'm not going to do it now because it's warm. Obviously you need to do that when it's cold, and it's best always when you're buying any kind of car, you want to start it from cold. You don't want to get there, the seller's warmed it all up for you, all looks nice and good, and it's got some sort of cold starting problem. And equally you want to warm it up and you want to start it from when it's warm as well. Yeah. Some of the other things to look for, like this one, clearly we can see that the air ride is not working properly. It's a bit intermittent on this one, but it's sitting far too low. It's going to make the camber obviously incorrect on the car as well. And on this car you will then see that the insides of the tyres are more than likely going to start wearing. So because they're 4x4s, you want to check really on the bottom here whether there's any sill damage. In the ideal scenario, you'd put it up on a ramp if possible and have a good look underneath, because if they're used off-road and things like that, then obviously the underside of the car can get damaged very easily, and it's damage that you can't really see. So definitely want to check both sills. These cars, they have a lot of electronics. So this one, for example, has got an electric tailgate. You want to make sure that it opens fine, and you want to always, you know, check that it closes fine, because what can happen here, these motors, they can get damaged when someone decides to pull it down. So yeah, it can get damaged if they decide to pull it down manually. Yeah, so you want to make sure that it all opens, closes fine. Like any other car, you would check that, look, you know, it's got a spare wheel and so on and so forth. Like I said, these, they're used for towing a lot. So if the car's got a tow bar on it, a lot of them are detachable as well. So you want to get underneath and make sure that if it has a detachable tow bar that comes with it, or at least you know the car's being used for towing, because once you take the detachable bit off, you really can't see it. So you might assume the car's never been used for towing, and that will tell you a lot about whether it's been maintained properly or not as well. With the age of these cars, now you can start to see rust starting to come through. This only has very minor rust. I've seen a lot worse on these cars. Again, you want to check for rust on the underside. This has got a little bit of damage here, and on this particular shape you want to start looking at the bottoms of the doors, because they tend to rust here as well. It's quite common. These are in actually very good condition. You can see there's no rust or anything there. Yeah. The other thing to really look out for on these is the brake discs. You want to make sure there's no lip on the disc. They get heavy use when you're towing. By the time you put a trailer on the back and tow a car, you know, the total weight is coming up to about 5.5 tons. So the brakes, they do take a beating. And this is one of the reasons I got this 420 as well, just because it's effortless. It's really powerful. It can pull up to 3.5 tons. And many of these cars, in fact, from the factory, they're designed for towing. They've got the factory holes for fitting a tow bar as well. And even on the dashboard, when you've got a trailer on the back, it tells you everything about the trailer, whether your indicators are working on the trailer, the lights are working, things like that. So if that's the reason you're buying it, this is really a good car. The rest is really just general wear and tear that you would look for any used car, you know, just around the bumper edges. They're at the age now where, look, the lights, they're starting to oxidize, so you want to make sure you can get them restored or have them done ideally before you actually pick the car up. Right guys, Obviously the spec available on this is just like, there's so much different spec. This one's got an electric steering wheel, a lot of them don't, some got sunroofs, things like that. So whatever electronics on the car, the first thing you want to do, I know it sounds obvious, yeah, but you want to check it's all working. You don't want a headache of trying to diagnose anything electrical, especially as the cars get older. One really important thing on this particular V8 engine especially, it can happen on the V6s, but on these V8s they've been known for the timing chain to stretch. Now the only way you're going to know is if you're lucky, you'll probably get a misfire, or it might take a little bit longer to start, and that's the start of it to actually stretch, and really it will throw up a code for camshaft correlation usually. So don't believe the hype, you know. If you see that that code come up, the camshaft correlation, you're more than looking at a timing issue, and you're very lucky if the car's running. So that's something really, to have the time chain done, it's probably cheaper to get a replacement engine because of the age of the car. Unless you're mechanically minded and you can do that kind of work, you're talking about 2-3 grand to actually get that job done. So you want to make sure that obviously when you put ignition on, you just want to make sure it fires up straight away. It's nice and smooth, no warning lights or anything like that on the dash. This one is showing a malfunction on the air ride here, so you do want to put a diagnostic on the car ideally if the seller lets you do that, and of course they should let you do that if there is nothing to hide. And when you rev it up, it needs to be nice and smooth, yeah? I think in terms of this particular car, the air ride's not functioning properly. So even when I press this button here, this is actually raise the ride height of the car. This is actually to raise the ride height of the car. It's not working on this one, but you want to know that on the car that you do buy, you press that, it should go up an inch or two, and that's really for off-road or road humps or whatever it is. It shouldn't be sitting at the ride height it is now. Other than that, they're pretty robust, pretty reliable cars. Parts are cheap enough to get, and there's loads still on the road, and that kind of shows just how well made they are. Actually, the most popular ones are the V6, but I decided to get the V8. Like I said, it's really, really good if you're towing anything, a caravan, a trailer. It's more than capable, and it's very stable. We will do another video once I've got a trailer on the back, and we'll go for a drive. In terms of fuel consumption on this particular one, on the V8, I normally find on a motorway run, if you're doing 70, you can probably get around 32, 33, 34 at a push, which I think is not bad. And of course, they don't make the V8 twin turbo diesel anymore. You can't buy it in the latest shape, you can't buy it in the shape after this as well. So this W164, if you're going to get one and you enjoy driving, I would say get a V8, because this is probably the last time that you will get, before they get really old, before they get really unreliable. Guys, so one of the really good reliable things about these cars is the gearbox is the same across all of them. So it should really be silky smooth. You shouldn't have any problems. So you do want to make it sure you go for a test drive, and that look is changing up nice, just like this one's really nice and smooth. There's no problems with it. And ideally you want to get it up to motorway speed as well, and it should go up into 7th gear. Guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and if I've missed anything, feel free to put it in the comments below.